Welcome to Corpse Club, the official podcast of dailydead.com. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jonathan James, and I'm joined today by Bryan Christopher and Scott Drebit. We are back for an episode of Corpse Club after Heather took the last month and gave you some pretty incredible one-on-one interviews. If you hadn't had a chance to listen to those episodes, I highly recommend it. And we're excited to catch up with our listeners a little bit and catch up with each other because, you know, as things tend to be a little crazier these days, or a lot crazier, to be a little bit more accurate, we haven't had a chance to catch up. I know Scott's been out for a little bit, and and we haven't podcasted either. So we're going to do a little bit of a dual episode. We're going to talk about what we've been up to, and then we're also going to talk about what we have coming up, because it is September is we do Halloween all year round in my household. A lot of people do, but I think a lot of people think of September as like the official kickoff for the Halloween season. And so we'll talk a little bit about maybe what we have planned or what we're thinking about doing, and then some socially distant options as well this September and October.
Let me just answer now. Hell if I know. That's my...
well, I think Bryan might be able to carry on this one.
Oh, no, I got nothing. I thought this was you. No, I'm thinking, like, has it been a week since we last recorded, or has it been 7 years? Because I can't, time has no meaning anymore.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's crazy. Especially, I don't know about either one of you, but I have been growing my hair out. I have not cut it. I don't know why, like, my measure of how long I'm in quarantine is. I decided that it would be my hair because Christy's offered to cut it. I have, a pretty short haircut. It's pretty close to a buzz cut, but right now it's like the longest it's ever been.
You literally look like Shaggy.
I do. I look like I'm in an emo band. And it keeps going. So the longer this quarantine goes on, the longer this hair is going to grow. I'll look like Jesus soon.
Wow. I had your guys' first album, Jonathan's Pencil. And this is strong. You guys were great on Lollapalooza too in '96. That was awesome.
I have a receding hairline and a pair of clippers, so my hair has not been growing out.
And I've been to the barber twice since it opened. It's all socially distanced and the whole 9 yards.
Do they put the clippers on a pole of some kind?
Yes, they do, from across the room. I've been a couple times, but they're still, because we have the masks, mandatory masks, they're not doing beards yet. So, it's like business on the top, Ted Kaczynski on the bottom. Is kind of what I have going right now.
Well, I'm getting used to all kinds of like new things. Like I had before this episode, I'll overshare. Before this episode, I had my first tangle. I know what tangles are. I know people get them. I've never had one. My hair was just like knotted in the front into a tangle. I had to like comb out. Like that was brand new.
That's the Jonathan's Tangle is the name of the band.
That's it.
Yeah, not Jonathan's Pencil. I was thinking of a different band.
Yeah, that's a cover band.
Wait till someone puts gum in it.
Oh no, I'll shave it at that point. At some point, I'm going to shave it.
I've got gum in my beard. I've fallen asleep with gum in my mouth and woken it up with my beard.
I feel like that's the Canadian version of like people who fall asleep with a cigarette in their mouth.
Gum in the beard.
But segueing this back to Halloween, I think the reason that I'm growing my hair out as well is because I don't know what I'm going to be this year for Halloween. I'm like, maybe I'll need the hair. This is the opportunity now. I've never grown it out longer than this. I already did Shaggy, so that doesn't count. But I think I wore a wig. I did wear a wig.
Yeah, you did. I remember that picture.
I did. So now I don't know, I can dye this hair. I could be a lost boy, or I don't know what I could be.
See, I love my beard so much, I would never shave it. So I can never play like Shirley Temple, that's off the table. Or Elizabeth Taylor.
I've got very specific things that I can be when I shave my beard. In fact, I think the last time I did it was for Halloween so that I could be Pugsley Addams. And it was dead ringer, man. I'm all dimple without the beard.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I can't grow a beard. It takes forever. It doesn't connect. I'm not there yet.
Well, for me, it's just the universe's way of making up for the fact that I don't really have a chin. So it's got to give me something. So I get a beard.
Yeah.
Everybody gets something.
Same. Fat and lazy is my modus operandi. I don't have to shave, and I don't want to shave. It's perfect.
Well, the worst part was before I realized that, like, not shaving doesn't mean not shaving your neck. So, like, me in my early 20s and, like, that real thick, gnarly neck beard was just unpleasant. So seeing any pictures from them are just a little cringe-inducing.
I skipped that. I couldn't grow anything until I was in my late 20s, and then I started off with a cop mustache. And
Of course you did.
Of course I did. That's when I was a courting Michelle, and I was wearing. Never mind. I was wearing my Canadian tuxedo and driving my Firebird. Like, wow.
Did you have a checklist, or
I was a different guy. Anyway, what were we even talking about? I forget.
on this horror podcast?
Yeah.
This is what happens.
No, it was horror related. What were we just talking
We
about?
were
Halloween
talking about
costumes.
prepping for Halloween costumes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to be. What happened is last year, I went as like the classic Joker, and I spent time growing my hair out a little bit, but not close to this, and I dyed it green. And my dad, unbeknownst to me, one-upped me, and he grew his hair out long and his beard, and he dyed his hair black, and he showed up in a suit, and he was John Wick. And I'm like, oh my God. And
That's
so
some next level stuff. There.
yeah, it was great. And so now I'm kind of, what do you call it? I'm like paralyzed with fear. I don't know what I'm going to be.
Yeah, I remember my dad. There's a picture of my dad who one year went as a belly dancer, and he again was a man of he had
Stature.
some girth of some girth on him, and so it was a very flattering two-piece. Yeah.
So, veering quickly away from that.
I like how we
Jonathan-
keep trying to steer Scott away. What do you got, Brian?
I have pictures.
We'll talk after.
All right.
So in terms of like dressing up, like, do you have plans for like virtual shenanigans, or like your family going to get together for like a Zoom costume party or something like that? Or what's the plan?
Well, we have I'm taking the story back about a month ago, and Brian, you know this, and I think Scott, you know this too, but my sister and her husband had to leave South Africa, and so they came to the States, and they got COVID. Thankfully, they're much better now, and thankfully, we came up with a plan to quarantine for my parents. And so we put them in a tent in my parents' backyard. My parents have a nice backyard. There's a pool there. So like, it was like, they were like glamping. But they did that for about a month until they were all clear. Cause we weren't going to let them in because, my mom has asthma and she's immune compromised, and, and we don't want my dad to get it either. So, anyway, we played it real careful, and we have been, and, Christy works at home, and so do I. So, right now at this point, there's like 6 of us that don't interact with other humans. So I think we're going to be able to have a 6-person Halloween party. So I think I'm going to set my place up for Halloween and like do our usual party that we usually have for 30 people, but just do it for 6, which in some ways will be good because, sometimes when there's 30 people, it gets all hectic, and then, you don't get to enjoy it as much if you're running it. But so, yeah, so I think we're going to do.
Sounds like a party to me, man.
Yeah. So I think we're going to do that. We're going to dress up, and we're going to party down, and we're going to do we always do Halloween karaoke because there are a lot of Halloween songs to sing. And hopefully we'll go till, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 in the morning.
Now, it presents an opportunity because with just 6 people, you could conceivably go with a party-wide theme and have everybody dress like I don't know, like all the people from The Princess Bride or something like that. But I feel like the flip side of that is it's gonna feel weird because there's gonna be no one to appreciate it because it's all just the people who dressed up in the same theme.
So we are doing a theme right now, but it's so broad you could pretty much do anything, which is fine. I think last year it was like comic book characters or comic adjacent. My dad kind of cheated, but there's a John Wick comic, so he's like, for everyone to be like, John Wick's not, there is a comic, so it worked out. But this year we're doing anything from a TV show, which that gives you a lot. I mean, you could do anything, new TV, old TV, cartoons, so it opens it up. So as long as, the couples pick something from, and it's 3 couples, so you just got to pick a TV show. So maybe somebody will do I Love Lucy or The Munsters or, Batman or something.
The 70s would just have so many great ones. Just Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
Three's Company.
Especially you got your hair going out.
Right?
Yeah, I have no idea. So I
blow it out
need some ideas.
Fawcett style.
Oh, you want him to be fair?
Oh, yeah. Blow that out,
I could see that. You need that perm.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to be doing. That's so, it'll be, what we usually do, spoiler warning for, I guess, my family, if they're listening. They do listen.
Oh, Jonathan. They're
Dad.
not.
They really do listen to occasional episodes. My mom's called me and she's been like, she listened to the one when we did the like pick one or the other. We had Christy on. She heard it. She called me.
My mom doesn't have a computer. She doesn't even she has a flip phone. Okay, so I can talk smack about my mom all night long on here if I want.
No, I can't.
Yeah,
I know there's a chance they're listening.
My dad's the same way. He's got a flip phone. And the only reason I think he even has that is because work supplies it. Like, I'm pretty sure he'd still be like landline only if it wasn't for that. So, yeah, I don't think he could find me on a podcast if he tried.
Every time my mom uses it, I tell her she has to put it on the ground and smash it. Said, it's a burner, Ma. It's a burner.
For Halloween this year, Scott's mom is going as a drug dealer.
But yeah, my family listens occasionally. So anyway, we're setting the place up where it's kind of like an open floor concept home, and or open room, whatever they call it. And so we usually, the key to a good party is not to use house lights. So we have those like LifeX bulbs. We could turn all the colors, and we got some props. We have enough props from past years where I could just make a goulash of Halloween themes. So we'll see what I do. And then I have to put the smoke machine on and pretty much call it a day. So
that sounds
good to me.
Yeah.
Sounds like the tits.
So,
That's going to be next year's theme.
So that's what we're doing for this Halloween. But I'm going to get back to, because I'm going to keep us on topic, because I don't want to lie to our listeners. I want them to be like, you said you were going to talk about what you watched, but you just talked about hair for the first 10 minutes. Then you went straight to Halloween. So I'm going to keep us on track as much as I can. And I'm going to throw it to you, Brian, and say, what have you been watching lately or playing? Or you were playing Dark Souls before. So yeah, what have you been doing?
A while ago. Actually, the thing I've been playing most recently was I just got done doing another run through of Diablo 3, which was a lot of fun. Actually used a different character. So usually I'm more of like a barbarian kind of a guy. I like to get all like the big axes and just take a lot of swings at bad guys. And for those who aren't familiar, Diablo, actually we might have talked about this on another episode, so sorry if this is a repeat. But it's a kind of horror fantasy based online RPG, and it's basically about in the first one, it's like the first coming, and the second one, it's the second coming. The third one, it's like the third coming of the devil, and it's up to you to stop it. And so the fun one this time around was I was a necromancer, so a lot of raising the dead. And the fun thing is in Diablo 3, there's a lot of like different ways that you can actually use corpses as weapons. So like throwing them at bad guys, changing them into spears and throwing them at bad guys. So it was a lot of fun, gooey stuff that I don't normally get to do as the protagonist, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have good memories of playing Diablo 3, but I only played it once when it first came out, so I'm definitely itching to play a similar game, but I think I'll wait for 4 at this point, I think.
This is a semi-annual reminder that we need to play Friday the 13th.
Oh, and I have it too. You'd think that being home, I would have more time, but it feels like I have less time.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same spot.
I'm on holiday right now, so my more time feels like more time until next week, and then it will be very much less time.
Do you have Friday the 13th, Scott?
No, I don't have it, but I know we were talking that we really got to play it.
Oh, so if you get it, I will install my copy.
All right.
And I assume it doesn't cross platforms, right? Like if I got it on Switch, I don't think I could play with you guys on your PS4s.
Well, these days they're starting to do it. Like Fortnite, Call of Duty, like they're going cross-platform Destiny. So I don't know anymore. Like, had you asked me a few years ago, I'd be like, no way. But I'll have to look that up.
Brian, do you think they have Dead Jason? Do you think they have Carry Jason in the game?
I would assume so.
Yeah.
I think they have you can get like all the Jason skins as far as, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so. So, but yeah, I'll definitely play it. We've been playing Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, and I loved 1 and 2. They were like arcade button mashers. And I guess I tipped my hand to where this is going. I don't like 3 as much. It's a different developer, and the camera's not as good. It's you kind of get stuck where like you can't see yourself, or you can't, like, especially because it's co-op. So Christy and I are playing, and like she's in one corner of the map, and I'm at the other corner fighting something. I can't see myself because the camera cuts me off. And then it kind of like dead ends you in some areas as well, where it's like you can't beat this boss until you upgrade. But to upgrade, you have to play these like missions where you're just grinding, and it's, it's not as fun.
Well, you're not a big grind fan, are you? Right? Like, I think I remember having a discussion where like for you, it gets real old. The whole like, I found a weapon. I found a better weapon. I found an even better weapon. Like, I get a kick out of that, but if I remember correctly, you're not a big fan of that.
I mean, I'm okay with it because, I mean, I played it. The thing is, it's in the fantasy setting, it's a little tough because, like, I did 100 hours of, like, Baldur's Gate. I did, like, 50 hours of Icewind Dale. I did 200 hours of Baldur's Gate 2. I did 100 hours of Dragon Age. I did 100 hours of Morrowind. Did 100 hours of Skyrim. So it's like it's like I'm putting a lot of time into the same task. So, like, I like playing Fallout because I'm like, okay, well, that's a different setting. I played The Outer Worlds, which isn't as long. So, like, I'm okay with it. What I don't like these days, and because I used to do game development back in the day, what I don't like is when you intentionally see a studio adding mechanics to draw out the length of the game. And so you will see some games, which I won't name, but you will see some games where it's like, this is the main game, but to beat it, there are all these other mechanics which stretch it. Well, I guess I just named it because it's in. I was thinking of other games, but they also they do some of it in Marvel Ultimate Alliance. It's like, well, I just want to play the main story like arcade style. But those mini games, like made to extend it, really just kind of force you to spend more time playing it. But, I'm not a fan of Dark Souls either. I can't remember. That team made another game, which is a horror game, and I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. We picked it up. Oh, it's going to bug me.
I'm the same.
Sorry.
Yes. Crash Bandicoot. Yes, I know.
No, I wasn't going to say Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. No. That's fine. I was just going to say that I've developed an addiction to Panda Pop on my Galaxy. But no, go ahead. Go ahead with your story. All right.
No, there's no way I'm topping what you're bringing to the table. You go ahead, sir.
No, that's it. I'm really addicted to it. The wife said to me, she said, you need to stop with the Panda Pop.
I've been playing
like
more.
It was a full-blown like intervention.
I assume this is something that comes with all kinds of like obnoxious sound effects and things like that.
I turn the sound off. I like the colors and the bouncy balls. And did you know it's a Care Bear game? I did not know that.
Didn't know that.
No, at the start of every level, one of the, I don't know which one, Fluffy McFuck or whatever, floats down and zaps your icons on your screen that you can use as boosters.
I found the game I was looking for. It's Bloodborne.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know Bloodborne was made by the same company that made Dark Souls. You know what? I forgot about it. And then Christy's like, I heard about this game called Bloodborne, and she's more of a casual gamer. I'm like, okay, I'll buy it. And so I just bought it. It was like, I don't know, $15 because it was one of their platinum hits. And then I installed it, and then she like walked 2 feet and died. I'm like, oh no. I know who made this game. And then
only one developer is this mean.
Yeah, and then she got a little further and then dead, and then I played it and I'm like dead. I'm like okay. I'm like and then I read and it's like this game can take 80 hours. I'm like, well, it's 80 hours, but would really be like an 8-hour game. So I'm like, no, we're not doing this. Instead, we're playing Destroy All Humans, and that feels good. They remastered Destroy All Humans, and he plays this gray alien who just zaps people and probes them, and you got a flying saucer that you can blow things up with, and it feels good.
Seems pretty strange.
Probe.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, I highly recommend that. It's a budget title because, again, they remastered it, so I think it was like $35 or something like that. So I would recommend
Is that
picking that one up.
budget in the gaming world, $35?
Yeah, because they're going to raise, I heard they're raising the prices for PS4, so you're looking at, what, $70 a title? I think they announced that. Yeah, I think $70 for a PS4 title.
Oh,
wait, they're raising prices on games, right? Like, didn't they just announce a PS5?
Oh, I'm sorry. PS5 games will be, $70. The PS4 games will stay that price.
Okay. I was going to say, that's ballsy.
Yeah. But,
Wow.
yeah. So,
What kind of a mortgage do you need for a PS5 anyway?
They haven't announced a price yet. I think the guess is around $500.
Yeah, well, I just got my PS4 and I love it so.
Have
I
you
can
moved
watch
on to Crash
movies in it.
Bandicoot 2 or?
It's got 3 games in one, and I don't know how to work it, so I just toggle in between them all like an imbecilic 6-year-old, which I am.
Actually, I'm pretty sure a 6-year-old will be able to navigate the system pretty easily.
You're right. That's why I'm not letting my grandson near it, because at 3, he can probably get way higher scores than me. So, and I need to hold on to every shred of dignity that I can muster. So,
Well, speaking of not having any dignity or self-respect,
Yes.
another game I've been playing has been, and again, I can't remember of these conversations what I've had on here, but Doom 3. Found a real cheap copy on Switch. I think it was like $10, and I'd never played it before, so figured that'd be a nice straightforward thing, because I think that was a little bit after playing Dark Souls, so I wanted something that was a lot simpler. But something I forgot about myself is that my motion sickness is such that I get it from playing first-person shooters because I'm pathetic.
Yeah, that one's real. That's a twitchy game too, because you're jumping. It's pretty frantic. You're jumping all over the place. Yeah, it's a good one though.
I agree. That is pathetic, but only because it's you, not anyone else suffering from that malady.
Malady.
I did play Doom 3 Eternal, and that one's punishing. I actually didn't. Right now, I have, well, for the last maybe, I used to be a completist, and now I've said, over the last maybe 5 or maybe even 10 years, that if I don't like a game, or like if I just want to stop, I'm just going to stop. I'm not going to have to finish it. And Doom Eternal is one of those. I had fun with it, but it's definitely a punishing game. Like, even I started dying, and then I like dropped it down to easy or easiest. I still was dying, and I'm like, okay, I'm good for now. Yeah, I keep kind of floating in and out of things I'm doing, or like I'll have to. Like, I started playing Days Gone when I got sick months ago, and I'm like, this is too real, and I stopped playing that. And I want to play The Last of Us, but I think, and a lot of people probably are dealing with this as well who are listening. Like, I don't really have interest in like playing anything or watching anything super heavy. And if you do, that's fine. I know there are a lot of people who are watching stuff, and it's, another way to, whether it's entertainment or to cope or whatever the case is, like, that's fine. But I just find that I, haven't been into watching, like, there's a lot of horror movies I have to catch up on. I will, but I haven't been in the mood yet. Well,
we showed the in-laws Contagion and Outbreak when we were camping because they hadn't seen them.
That's what I'm talking about.
And they were Contagion is like stupid scary real. And that one's the documentary, and then Outbreak is like the Three Stooges short. One is a Hollywood, one is straight up Hollywood thriller, and one is, here's a what if for you. And I love them both equally. They're still great. Dustin Hoffman as a scientist, for me, just screams such validity. And, I think we're all better for him taking on that role.
Plus,
and action hero.
Donald Sutherland, like, the fact that he doesn't have a mustache to twirl in that movie is the only knock I can give it, because everything else is just perfect about the way he plays, like the evil, corrupt general.
Yeah, that's right. And take a drink every time he calls Morgan Freeman Billy.
See, because they're on the same level and they're close, so he can
say that, yeah.
But he never calls Donald Sutherland, but it's like Donald Sutherland like uses it like punctuation, Billy. That's my Donald Sutherland.
That was spot on, sir.
Thank you. I'm working on a Mason Verger too, because I just watched Hannibal the other night.
Cordell. That's a good one. That was actually really good.
There you go. Give me another piece of dialogue for what else does Mason Verger say?
That's actually the only line
Cordell.
It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Oh, yeah. Seemed like a good idea at the time.
And is this Gary Oldman?
I assumed it was Gary Oldman.
Okay.
Yeah. Not the TV one. Yeah. Hannibal. That is. You know what? Every time I watch that movie, I love it more. I really do. I don't care if it's different from Silence of the Lambs. It's just a really good, really solid Ridley Scott jam. And Anthony Hopkins has some really great creepy moments in it.
Wait, that was Ridley Scott?
Yeah. And it's got some good gore too.
Well, there's no other movie where you're going to see Ray Liotta eating a piece of his own brain.
That's right. Smells good.
God, that scene was seared into my mind after watching that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember going to the theaters to see that one. I went with my dad and my grandfather to that one. So
Did you guys read the book? Did you guys read the book?
I did way back in the day. I know it's different. I don't remember how it's different.
The ending.
Yes.
Is the biggie. Is the big. And
isn't there amputation?
In the book, Clarice, Brian, have you read the book?
No, but I think I've heard what the ending is. So
okay.
Go ahead.
For anyone, this is spoiler for the Hannibal book if you haven't read it. Clarice ends up with Hannibal.
I do remember that.
They become a couple. He manages to break her down mentally, and they live happily ever after, I guess. And people just lost their shit when that came out, because of course you had Jodie Foster, Anthony Hopkins, everyone waiting for the book, right? Because they wanted to do another movie. And she was not fond of the ending. She thought no way in hell would Clarice give in to Hannibal Lecter and end up with him. Well, yeah, but he did, and she did. It's right there in the book. So the movie, obviously, doing it even without Jodie Foster in it, they still decided to change the ending to what I think is fine, but certainly less conventional than what we ended up getting, right? But look at the TV show Hannibal.
Well, I was going to say, I
Right?
think Hannibal and Will Graham make a far better couple.
But there you go. Now this happens on this show, and there's no reaction whatsoever. But when it's done to, Clarice, all of a sudden it's, was frowned upon. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think
also
on the
different
TV
times.
show they establish a different. They're kind of like, I don't know. It's like a slightly off center, not off center, but like it's like an alternate Hannibal Lecter universe where they've done such a good job through the show at weaving that element of it in it that it actually makes less sense to not have them have that kind of homoerotic element to it. I feel like in the Silence of the Lambs and then Hannibal, I don't think that quite works for me, having them end up as a couple. Like, yes, it happens in the book, so yes, it can happen, but it just doesn't seem like the trajectory for them. I don't know. I was happy with the way it ended in the movie, with him kind of going off to parts unknown, because I like the element of him kind of like, she's the one person he couldn't really bring himself to give the Hannibal a cannibal treatment to, so he winds up cutting off his own hand.
Right.
I don't know. I kind of like that.
But here's the thing, though. That's why I'm saying it's interesting that the TV show was received the same or differently, because essentially Will Graham is the same person as Clarice, in the sense of you can bend him very, very badly, but he always, bounces back, and he can't be taken over by Lecter, the same as you're saying Clarice didn't. But we saw it happening on the TV show. So I'm just wondering, that's where I'm saying, why is the reception to that different?
I think the biggest thing is probably time, right? I just think it's the time when it was made. But I think the other thing is that they had more, both time and decade or two past, but also the TV show had enough time to kind of build up those characters' relationships before he knew who Hannibal was. So for me, I think it's easier to accept that, like, they had this relationship as peers, going on well before they kind of were at odds with each other. So
plus on the TV show, I don't think they're trying to present it as like a healthy relationship at all. It's still very compelling, and something that, is it makes for kind of good banter in terms of, talking about like shipping the two, but it's also something that I think they treat very seriously in terms of the fact that, like, Hannibal is not a good guy, and Will very much recognizes that, but they're kind of like pull towards each other, whatever form that is something that's also very kind of integral to their story and why they make the decisions they make. And up to the very end, where, spoiler for a show that ended 5 years ago at this point, longer, Will grabs him and yanks each other off of a cliff, because he recognizes, like, yes, I have this very strong but ultimately unhealthy pull towards the serial killer, so I got to do something about it. And for all intents and purposes, the end of that show is them kind of falling to their deaths off of a cliff
until we get the revival at Netflix.
Yeah, exactly.
Fingers crossed.
Exactly. Well, that'd be so amazing. But yeah, no, you're right, because it's an alternative universe, right? They can move pieces around into different areas and see how they fit. And there is that freedom there in having a TV show. And it's a TV show that was done right thus far, until we get the next season, hopefully. That each new season built upon the previous one. It wasn't a serial show. It wasn't, let's go look at this week's monster. Different characters were introduced, but it was never that kind of show. It was a show you had to follow from the start. characters pop in and out that are weaved through the whole show. It was really an amazingly designed show.
And I'll also never get over what they were allowed to get away with on network primetime television.
Yeah, it was definitely boundary pushing at the time.
Well, like, you know, people talked a lot, like the stuff you see in Midsommar, like, you know, people talk about how gory and, like, you know, off the wall that is. And like a couple of those scenes, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've seen this in Hannibal at, you know, what would have been like 10 o'clock on a Wednesday night on NBC.
Yeah, I was surprised with what they let them show. But, you know, I mean, I think thankfully things like, you know, The Walking Dead kind of opened the door for that. And it's like, if you have grandparents watching The Walking Dead, I'm pretty sure everybody can handle Hannibal if they want. I have been watching, there's a few things that just came out recently that I watched. I just finished watching Lucifer. I don't know if you guys watched that, but that definitely is, it's an interesting one. I mean, it has a huge fan base. My wife loves it. I really like the characters. And so if you are looking for a procedural with some really good characters, you know, I'd recommend giving Lucifer a try. Tom Ellis as Lucifer is great. And so it's worth just watching him, you know, play the devil. And, but they just released season 5A. They still have the second half to come out, and then a season 6. But that just hit Netflix a couple weeks ago.
Oh, I remember when it first came on, we watched the very first episode, and to be honest, I wasn't blown away by it, so I just never went back to it. But
no, it's definitely very.
I mean, I got a lot on the plate right now, man. We got like 5 different shows going, all these plates spinning in the air, and the wife sees another one like it's something shiny on the beach. Ooh, there's another. I'm like, stop. We have 34 continuous shows. I don't even know what we're watching anymore.
Yeah, you got to let something go. But yeah, I mean, Lucifer, again, I wouldn't recommend it for everybody. If you like procedurals, like if you watch CSI and you want CSI plus the devil, that's what this is. If you don't like that procedural week in, week out format, they have like a mythology that continues and a story that continues through, but it's pretty set in its procedural ways. That said, it's a lot of fun for a procedural.
And that was one that shifted from Fox to Netflix?
Yeah, it just moved to Netflix maybe in season 4, I think. Yeah, I think they did 3 seasons at Fox and a season in Netflix, and now season 5 and 6. So
did they
half and half.
Were they able to like lean into the subscription service in terms of like, did anything change in terms of, are they allowed to like show more? Do they curse? Any more like violence, or have they kept it pretty much what it was on Fox?
Yeah, that kind of was my surprise, is they did stay pretty much just like what they have on Fox. I thought they were going to move away from procedural, because once you don't need it anymore, why would you keep it? Would be my opinion. Like if it were me doing it, it's like Supernatural. Oh, hello.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. We have a little guest.
We do have a guest. This is my grandson, Noah. You want to say hi?
Hi.
Hi,
hey,
Noah.
buddy.
Good.
He's good.
Put them on. Get him to talk to you, okay? You want to talk? Say hi.
Hi.
Hey, Noah. How are you?
Hello, Noah.
I'm Noah.
Yeah, you're Noah. I'm Jonathan.
Nothing. Just play around.
Just playing around.
Just playing around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy did that.
All right. You already speak better than your pal, so.
Better
Hey.
said than anything Scott's ever said.
I was gonna say we gotta get Noah in here more often.
All right. Later.
See that, Scott? That's called charisma.
Oh man, he's already smarter than me. So.
Well, that was an unexpected and pleasant surprise.
Yes, it was.
But yeah, I mean, some other things I've been seeing, because we've been talking about like keeping things light. Like thanks to my brother Jordan and Theo, we've been watching some cartoons on Disney XD, which I guess is like their like slightly older cartoons, but they have a show called Gravity Falls, which ended. I mean, it might have ended a few years ago.
I remember hearing of that. I never saw it.
It's really good. 2 seasons. And I don't care what age you are. It is
Wow.
it's a very tightly woven story. It's because people might think Disney and they may be like, oh, well, it's just for kids. And a lot of their stuff does skew younger. But no, this is an all ages show. I think in a lot of cases, the references and whatnot are specific for adults. A lot of, horror, but basically it's about, two kids that are spending the summer with their great uncle in this remote town of Gravity Falls. And it's like, They find a book that kind of helps them navigate the fact that there are all kinds of strange happenings, ghosts and gnomes and cryptids and all kinds of stuff. But the creator has kind of, woven this like 2-season story. So it's over like 40 episodes, but it's just like there's a clear plan and clear vision in place. And like things they sprinkle in episode 1, by the time you get to episode 20, you're like, you have to go back to episode 1. So it's like really clever stuff. I know a lot of people would initially dismiss it just because it's on Disney. But if you're listening and you haven't seen Gravity Falls, like I would highly recommend it. Like it's probably one of the best things I've watched this year.
I actually keep waiting for Derek to like pop up out of the ether just because we're talking about.
I know. Can you imagine? I'm talking Disney and Derek's not here. He's
This
going
feels
to kill
wrong.
us.
As soon as the mouse ears.
You know what? It's because I miss you, Derek.
Skylight
That's what
went
it
up.
is. And then we also saw another Disney show called The Owl House. And The Owl House, I think is skewed, like I said, a little bit younger. So I think it's a little different in terms of tone from Gravity Falls, but it's a lot of fun. It's about a young girl who goes
Derek's
into
gonna
this.
hate you.
She goes into this like witch world. She's supposed to be off at camp, but she finds a portal and she meets a witch and learns how to become a witch. And I think both stories do a good job of dealing with like social topics without being too heavy-handed. From I don't know, the awkwardness of like making friends and going to school to just all kinds of familial topics. But that one is. Gravity Falls is 2 seasons and done. The Owl House is like 20 episodes in, and they have, I guess, a long way to go. But that one's pretty good too.
Well, while we're pissing Derek off, I don't want to give anything away in terms of the actual title, but I will hint that my October Let's Scare Brian to Death entry will in fact be on a Disney Channel original movie.
Oh my God!
I'm doing a decom.
We've replaced Derek on this podcast.
He had a thing, and we've robbed him of it.
Yeah, it was.
Wow, that's low, guys.
And he's on
Jeez.
vacation too. I was giving him the day off.
Well,
Here we
now he
come
can
with
just
all
stay
the
on it.
Disney.
Brian's on that Disney beat.
Oh my God!
The coveted Disney beat.
That's right. You got the Disney beat, see? Go out there and find me a mouse.
I've got one of those. It's like the Mickey Mouse hats, but it's got like the little press card in it.
That's right.
Oh my God!
Tell me about the duck, see? Tell me now.
And have you guys seen any Umbrella Academy? Because season 2 just dropped
No, I
last month.
I think I saw like the first couple of episodes.
It's so good.
Yeah?
It's Umbrella Academy is really good. It's I mean I may be saying this in a vacuum because I haven't actually looked for feedback online because I was avoiding spoilers. So everybody would be like, it's terrible, it's trash. But I really like Umbrella Academy. It's basically like what X-Men should be. Like the X-Men movies, they all were like, this is going to destroy the world. Now this is going to destroy the world. But a lot of the stories, a lot of the X-Men stories before they go to those like big comic book events, they're smaller stories. It really is the fact that you put, a handful of people or more that really don't get along together and see how they can get past all their differences to save the day. And that's what Umbrella Academy is. And, they deal with all kinds of time stuff, and of course they all have superpowers. And so I don't know, it's a really like clever way of doing X-Men without them being X-Men. And it's the second most popular show on Netflix, I guess, for an original. And I mean, I think it's the best thing on Netflix for my money.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
Jonathan James hates the X-Men, loves Umbrella Academy. Nothing but hot takes tonight.
Nothing but hot takes. Hey, I mean, I like Logan and I like Days of Future Past. I think those two still hold up, I think. and Deadpool. But those first 3 X-Men movies, game-changing as they may be, they're a little tougher to watch these days.
First three movies.
Did I say first three? Wait, I'm trying to correct this.
watch
I'm
these
trying to not
days.
make this mistake. I said first three X-Men movies. I meant the first two. I apologize. Yeah. So that's what I've been watching a lot of TV, and I'm usually not a TV guy.
So I do feel like I need to bring up with the group so that we do actually talk about a horror movie that came out fewer than 5 years ago. And one, Scott, that I know you have also seen. Rob Savage's Shudder premiere of Host.
Yes, of course. Yes. I've seen it twice.
I don't
now
want
I
major
will-
spoilers because I've left this specifically for my family, so we can all watch it. So
no,
I've been in the
no.
dark.
We won't give any spoilers at all.
You don't say it with a wink, please.
But then, but wasn't it weird that Abraham Lincoln showed up, Scott? Like, I don't know really what that had to do with the plot.
I know.
Oh
He
my
really
god!
blindsided
guys.
me with that.
Now I know. Now I know.
Yeah, no, it's really good. You know, it is idea. The first time I watched it was on my laptop, and the second time was on the big TV with the missus, and it plays better on the laptop.
Yeah, I
But
can see
it's
that.
still, it's still just as much fun. The second time around, I could sit there and marvel at how it was all put together and with what, ingenuity and efficiency it was put together. There's a lot to admire about it besides just enjoy it as a spook show. So yeah, it's really, really cool.
And I've Rob Savage has been on my radar since he started putting out some different short films. And this actually sprang out of he put together a similar format, but it was only like 2 or 3 minutes long. And it just kind of like this has been an extension of his ability to really set up suspenseful moments. Even going back to, he had this one movie, it was literally 2 minutes long, and it's called Salt. And in 2 minutes, he is able to ramp up tension and get you like grinding your teeth over what's going on in this movie. And so picture someone who can do that in 2 minutes, having 60 minutes to play with. And he really doesn't waste them. This really is a kind of a call to let's see some more 60-minute feature-length movies.
Well, it really lends itself to that in the current time we're in, right? It's a film very much of, and playing with the time that we're in and feeding that directly, right? Mm-hmm. Feeding that fear into it as well. But I just think it's one that I really admire. As far as the scares themselves go, they're good, and we like this kind of stuff, and they're really well executed. I'm looking forward to seeing him do something with, I think, what is an enormous amount of technical ingenuity. With maybe a bigger story. I would love to see that. I think he's great with actors. All of the actors in the movie are very convincing, I thought. And I can hardly wait to see what he does next, really.
And he's also very good at sprinkling. So, there are definitely jump scares, but I think what works better for me are kind of like the hidden scares, the ones that like you need to be paying attention to catch. And if you do, it's really like just kind of like bone chilling, some of the stuff that's in there. That's why I need a third viewing, because the first viewing was me. The second viewing, I was watching her reaction. So now I need a third viewing for just me to look for all the hidden stuff. And it was one of those ones too, where like, I kind of want to watch it again in a situation where, so like I'm watching on my laptop, I've got my headphones on. There are definitely scenes, like I'm not ashamed to say, like I was taking the headphones off, because usually the things that get me the most in jump scares are the sound stingers. So like I'm okay watching it, but like knowing those loud like boos are going to come out are what usually gets me. So I kind of want to give this another try and like be a little bit more immersed and not be such a fraidy cat about it.
Well, there you go, Jonathan.
It's a sign of a good movie, though. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to checking it out. I definitely think I'm good with 60-minute movies. I mean, the Universal Monster movies were, 70 minutes, so I'm okay with 60.
And hey, I've seen some interminable 60-minute movies as well. Let's not kid ourselves here.
This is true. Oh yeah, and I also do want to call out that we have Heather and Caitlin, Sarah, Lindsay have been doing wonderful coverage from the virtual version of the Fantasia Film Festival on dailydead.com. There's a ton of those movies are either, some of them are either about to hit streaming services and VOD. I know a number of them are hitting Shudder. Some of them will be, but for the most part, they were landing 4 out of 5 out of 5 reviews. There's some movies there that really wowed them, and that they'll be coming soon. Like I said, some of them as soon as next month. So definitely check out our Fantasia hub to keep an eye on what's going to be next.
They are doing fantastic work. As always. Oh, here's one that is streaming right now as a nice little segue into me. I watched One Bedroom a couple nights ago.
I have not seen that one
no?
yet. So don't,
Jonathan?
Nope.
Treat spoilers the same way as we were with Host.
Okay.
Especially because you're just going to be talking to yourself.
Not crazy about it. Interesting concept that is not fleshed out nearly enough. Got one really strong old lady performance in it, and the rest are kind of okay.
So that's the rest of the old lady performances are only okay?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And, I wasn't a big fan of it. It wasn't bad, but it's essentially the story. The basic story is a girl leaves home. She moves to L.A. and she gets approved after a meet and greet for a 1-bedroom in this apartment complex in L.A. And then, spooky stuff starts to happen. She starts seeing people that she thinks she's being followed, etc. Blah, blah, blah. I won't tell you what it is exactly if you're planning on watching it. But what it is one of my favorite subgenres, and it doesn't really go nearly or dig deep far enough into what in itself is an interesting premise. So I was kind of let down by that one.
It was kind of a downer.
Yeah. Sorry, the air out of the room, Scott.
Okay, let me beef it back up. I know you guys, I'm sure, have all watched In Search of Darkness since the last time we talked.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we like it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Our very own Heather Wixon is in it frequently, and yet still not enough.
Star of the show, in my opinion.
Yeah. Totally.
Heather, I've given you my updated address for where to send the check.
But yeah, I think this is we'll segue into the next part of our episode. I don't know how long we're into this episode, but the next part of our episode, where we're talking about Halloween coming up. It's a Halloween season. It's going to be a weird Halloween season for many, but September, you start seeing people online officially, switching their Twitter names, and people are getting more into the Halloween season. I think part of it is because that's when stores, traditionally will start selling. But we definitely, like I said, I'm already starting to think about Halloween decorations and my eventual costume, whatever it's going to be. But there are also like a lot of different ways, like Brian and Scott were asking, like, well, what are you going to do for Halloween? Well, I do have the luxury, and I am thankful that I have, my parents and sister and her husband and Christy to hang out with. Some people aren't as lucky. And for people that, and I have friends of mine who they're in their apartment by themselves. I know that's tough. There's a lot of virtual events that, you can take part in. There's going to be there's some festivals, there's some special events. I'll talk about a few things in a minute, but, I know, Brian, you had some suggestions and some things you wanted to call out. So I'll kind of start with you. And what are some of the big things over, the next month or two that you're looking forward to?
I'm going to be a broken record on this one because I've talked about them many times in the past, but Salem Horror Fest is usually, it's kind of my spooky season Super Bowl every year. That's the thing I look forward to the most. I've gone the last 3 years. Unfortunately, due to present circumstances, they won't be doing an in-person event this year. And in fact, I will take this moment to tell people, please stay the hell out of Salem in October. When Salem gets crowded, it gets crowded, and there is nowhere to go except bumping into other people, and it's just going to be a big old mess. So please, even Salem Horror Fest themselves has said, stay out of Salem this year. And they are going to kind of support that happening by doing a virtual event this year. And it's looking like it's going to be pretty robust. Some of the main attractions that they've got is they're doing a lot of Joe Dante stuff this year. So they're going to get some different panels. They're doing what are they doing? The Gremlins 2 reunion. They're going to be doing a panel or some kind of event devoted to Dick Miller. It's just called That Guy, Dick Miller. And he's one of those guys that, if you're listening to this podcast, odds are you know who this guy is. So they'll be having all kinds of different people from different Joe Dante movies in. Zach Galligan's going to be taking part. Robert Picardo, Dee Wallace, Joe Dante himself. They'll be programming some different podcasts around it. Faculty of Horror is going to be doing The Howling. Purple Stuff podcast going to be doing Gremlins. Nightmare University will be doing episode on Little Rubber Monsters. So there's a bunch of different stuff. There's going to be a lot of stuff premiering, a lot of movies premiering. And like they always do, there's going to be a lot of different lectures and seminars. And so they've got some different stuff just to, what do we got? Rendering the invisible visible, Black femininity as unsympathetic, powerless monstrosity. Hopping Mad, a brief history of Jiangxi cinema. He comes to me at night, the homoerotic otherings in A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, and Stranger Things. It's the cool thing about this event is that they blend a lot of different kinds of events. So they talk about things just kind of in panel and podcast format. They have movie premieres, but I think the thing that really separates them is the really cool seminars that they have. And they haven't officially announced it yet, so I can't really give too much away, but I may also have a little something coming up this year. So keep an eye out for news on that. But even if I didn't, I would be calling out Salem Horror Fest up and down because this is just my absolute favorite event of the year. And although I'm bummed out that I'm not going in person and that nobody should be going in person, I'm glad they've still found a way to push this out to the masses. Yeah,
I mean, I think a lot of people online talk about that horror is for everyone. And there are a lot of people out there that are definitely leading that or living that. But Salem Horror Fest, Kay Lynch and the team over there, they live and breathe that. They go above and beyond to make sure that their programming is representative, is accessible, and they just really are going about this the right way. Where obviously, as a festival, you need to turn a profit because you need to continue, you need to expand your fest. You need to keep doing what you're doing. At the same time, that's not the driving force. You can see that it is about legitimizing horror. It is about taking the educational approach. And I'm just really impressed year after year what they continue to do, including this virtual edition, which really is going to be kind of groundbreaking in different ways. So, Bryan, what else do you got for us?
Well, so I'm going to throw Scott a bone on this one, and I'm going to go up to a Canadian event. Our friends up at Blood in the Snow Film Festival have announced that they are pairing with Super Channel. Scott, I'm going to assume you know what that means.
Yeah. Super Channel's a subscription.
Okay.
Movie channel.
They're going to be pushing out their festival content through the Fuse channel, which I guess is under the Super umbrella, from October 28th to November 7th. So they're kind of setting up, it's going to be like an old school like horror channel or something like that. So it's going to be all Canadian stuff. And Blood in the Snow is really good about incorporating like an inclusive, diverse group of movies. And it looks like this year they're going to be on television.
Nice. I'll look out for that.
I don't know. Have you ever
I don't have
seen
Super
any
Channel,
of their stuff before? Or?
Who?
I don't know if you're familiar with Blood in the Snow at all, or
no. I no. This is the first that I'm hearing of them. So
okay.
I thank you as well for the introduction.
That's what I'm here for.
Mm-hmm.
We also have the 25th annual HP Lovecraft Film Festival, which will be taking place from October 2nd to the 4th it usually takes place in Portland, Oregon, but they'll be doing it virtually this year as well. Just another batch of they'll do movies, they do different programming, things like that. So that's going to be another outlet. So it's, just kind of coming together that this year it's going to be, it sucks for the people who are used to going to these places, but I really like the idea of this opening up to people who wouldn't otherwise get to see this stuff because it gets pricey. Like, going to Salem, even for me, who's in the same general area, we're talking a few $100s to drive up there to get an Airbnb. And usually the events themselves are fairly inexpensive, but all the stuff that goes around that, the logistics, it gets pretty pricey. So I think it's really cool that they're finding ways of opening this up so that now people who would have never kind of dreamt of being able to see this stuff before are now able to check it out. And my hope is moving forward that we're going to see more of that kind of I think a lot of these events are going to have these virtual elements. Even if most of the stuff is in person, once things kind of stabilize with COVID, I would be surprised if they didn't keep some element of a virtual festival to get those people coming in that wouldn't normally be able to show up.
Well, yeah, wouldn't that be a great side effect of all this once all the dust settles and everything? Is that because there are so many great festivals. You're talking about some right now. I mean, I've always wanted to go to the Salem one, and many others. I've been fortunate enough to go to Chicago for Flashback. How great would it be if you could not attend one of these physically to have get some of that same experience virtually? And I think you're right. I think if they're smart, they'll still keep it integrated for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's too much infrastructure for them to not do this, and there's too much incentive. I mean, even some of the bigger ones like Comic-Con, they're going to figure it out. DC Fandom ended up being just a massive, massive success. So I think they're going to keep it for sure. And I think one of the biggest things to overcome is that previously studios, producers, whatever the case, directors would not be up for sharing their film digitally. They're worried about piracy. They're worried about getting the film out there. It's not a true premiere. But now this has made it so much more acceptable. Again, the infrastructure is in place. It's been done already. I don't think there's any kind of turning it back. It's just about how, festivals moving forward are going to incorporate this. And I think it's going to be nothing but positive things for the industry. We also have, what were we going to say?
No, I was just going to add, as soon as they figure out whatever works best financially for everyone, then we'll see the full plan.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is an extra revenue stream for festivals, especially some festivals that maybe break even, is that they can reach a larger audience, and they can kind of get that additional revenue stream going. We do see also, I do want to call it the Night Stream Film Festival. That's going to take place this October, and that's basically Overlook Film Festival, Popcorn Frights, Boston Underground, Brooklyn Horror Film Festival, and North Bend. They're all teaming up for this night stream, and they're going to kind of, I guess, take over different weeks or weekends, and they're going to have their programming. So they already have a website up, and I think you can already buy badges, but I don't think they've announced the titles yet. But I was a big fan of Overlook and and some of the others as well. I know Derek's been to Popcorn Frights, and I know we've had people cover Boston Underground and Brooklyn Horror and North Bend. So I'm excited to see all of them kind of team up and come up with this what seems like a mega festival in October. And again, something else that people can jump into and check out some new movies and hopefully some fun panels. So that's another option.
And for, I'm sure there are those of you out there who are like, yeah, these virtual events are great, but like, I really just direly want to get out of my house, but I want to do so without having to worry about like me or my loved ones dying. And I think your best avenue for that has been and will be the kind of the revitalization of the drive-in theater experience. Jonathan, I believe, because I don't think we've had an episode since this happened. You had a pretty good drive-in experience not too long ago, correct?
Yeah. So, the drive-in is near and dear to my heart. And so, Christy and I hadn't been leaving the house, but sometime in it was in June, it was announced that Bruce Campbell was going to be in Chicago for a socially distant photo op and to introduce a 4K version of the original Evil Dead on the big screen. So we're like, okay, like it's too weird of a thing. Like we have to do this. And
that checks a few boxes. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So we got in the car and drove 8 hours. No stops except to, refill the tank. And we had our masks on. We have plastic gloves and everything because we've been extra careful. And then we ended up going to the drive-in and we had a wonderful time. They had, like I said, you could, they had like vendors and they had food and stuff like that, but we brought our own. Everybody was required to wear masks, and what they did is they removed a car, like every other car slot was blocked off. So we felt like we could still like get out and stretch and stuff like that, and weren't next to other people. And and Mike and Mia, who run that drive-in in Chicago, I think it's the Midway Drive-In. They did a really good job. They're the ones who run Flashback as well, and they did a good job of enforcing it. And we felt safe, and we felt like everybody was was socially distant. And then they had a photo out with Bruce Campbell where he'd stand like 10 feet away from you, and you could look at each other, but you weren't that close, and we got a good photo out of it. But yeah, the Grindhouse releasing has been bringing the Evil Dead, the original, and Pieces, and The Beyond, and I think I Drink Your Blood. They've been bringing those to, and then there may be some more. And so they've been bringing those to drive-ins, and so you have an opportunity to see them on the big screen. Just go to like Grindhouse Releasing and check out their lineup. They keep updating it almost daily at this point.
Have you been seeing that, Scott? Has the drive-in kind of been making a bit of a comeback up in Canada with everything going on?
Actually, we just currently Calgary has the last drive-in in Calgary burnt down when an oil refinery exploded back in 98. Yeah, and that was the last drive-in in Calgary. Now there's currently 2 that are opening up just outside of town, like about like a 40-minute drive or something like that. So not too bad. So we're excited about that. That's they may have already opened. I'm not sure. I need to check into it more, but yeah, good times ahead for us. Cause we got a couple that are, I may not get to them this season, but next season for sure. We going to have a couple really close by. So very excited.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully there are, both new and old movies. It's been great to see IFC, release their titles to drive-ins, and we have Bill and Ted, and unfortunately, I mean, definitely unfortunate. Maybe fortunately for theater chains or for people who have their own mom and pop, like some of the closed theaters are going to be opening back up. And so we will see they're going to be opening Tenet, and we are going to see, I was hoping some of the bigger movies would move out this year. So I am a little disappointed because Bond and Wonder Woman and Dune, I think they're going to hold their dates at this point. It's just because I think 70% of theaters in Europe are open. And and people are going. And I don't, I guess if you're just, I guess to talk about it for a minute, if you're a single person and you make the choice to go to the theater and you wear a mask and all that stuff, I'm not gonna, say don't do that. Don't go see a movie on the big screen. But it's just so dangerous for so many people that, I'm kind of surprised to see theaters opening back up and, and movies kind of trying to lure people back in, at least the big ones. And that's why I'm glad we have the drive-ins, but it's
listen, they dangled it in front of me too. I mean, at our local chain theater here, Landmark, they were showing Friday the 13th on one of the screens.
Oh yeah. You had mentioned that.
The original one. And then the following week, they were showing A Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm like, what are you people doing to me?
They're trying to kill you, Scott.
They're trying to kill you. Right. So, I mean, and that's almost as tempted as I could get. Brian, you already know what the one is that would be the closest to getting me into the theater.
Dude, I know you told me, but my brain I've got major quarantine brain, so it's mush at this point. I can't remember 45 minutes ago.
Okay. Well, no, it's not important. But anyway, so they're out there and they're trying to tempt you,
Yeah, and it's and I've seen the simulations, somebody in the middle of the theater coughs, and it's AMC kind of plays, they've been playing loose with the rules, and it's and I get it, it's tough, right, in this world, because there's a mix of information. If you're not looking at the right place or whatever, it's hard to know what to do, and they're well, you don't have to wear your mask if you're enjoying food and drink, but my dad eats popcorn.
I never
for the
cough
entire
when I'm eating food or drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, but exactly. So he eats popcorn for the entire movie. So he would be someone who would eat through the whole thing. So I'm well, so then basically masks are optional. And again, not to get on a high horse with this, but it is, people's lives. So, my only recommendation would be just keep in mind, if you're doing it by yourself, that's fine. But just keep in mind that if you get it, you might not have any symptoms and you can spread it to other people. You don't want to spread it to, your family members. And that's the big concern. I had mentioned before, Christy and I, possibly already had it. We haven't been able to test. We didn't want to, back in the day, and we didn't want to spread it to my parents. We were really worried about, my sister and her husband having it. They did, and thankfully they didn't spread it to my parents, because a lot of people have been unfortunate. You don't want to see people dying because they're going to the movies.
So don't be a spreader. Be better.
Thank you, Scott. But the drive-in is a perfect alternative. You can go in your own car, and you can still, thankfully, hopefully catch a lot of these movies. And the VOD windows are shortened, so as soon as these things come to VOD, I'll watch them. But I won't be going to a regular theater for a while.
You have crazy lineups. Our buddies up at, or at least my buddies up at the Mahoning Drive-In, who I usually can't say enough about. They've been taking this from everything I've heard. They've been taking this really seriously in terms of the social distancing. Not really playing with fire too much. But so here's what's coming up. This Thursday, they're doing the original Friday the 13th with Ari Lehman's going to be there as a guest. the very original Jason Voorhees, the young boy who pops up out of the water. Next Tuesday, they're doing Phantasm, Scott.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The September 12th, the weekend of the 11th and 12th, they are doing the Universal Monster Mash weekend. This would be their fourth one.
God.
They're doing Son of Frankenstein, Son of Dracula, and a secret special feature. Then
When
the
is that?
next day, the 11th and 12th of September. Then Saturday the 12th, they're doing Phantom of the Opera, Werewolf of London, and Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy.
Wow.
Then what else do we got coming up horror-wise? They're doing VHS Fest. That'll be in 18th and 19th. I've been there for that in the past. That they usually get some pretty wonky movies in there. I think that's where I saw Hack-O-Lantern for the first time. Doing Night of the Living Dead on September 29th. They're doing Night of the Demons on October 4th. They're doing Freddy Fest, the second annual Freddy Fest on the October 11th, 9th, and 11th. So there's going to be like some Nightmare on Elm Street and then some kind of like different 6 degrees of separation to Freddy. So like they're going to be playing Shocker, another Wes Craven movie. They're going to be doing 976 Evil, which was directed by Robert Englund. So they're kind of making a weekend of it there. And then they're doing The Thing on the 23rd of October. And then they're actually doing, for Halloween weekend itself, they're doing a socially distanced version of Monster Mania. So if anyone in this area knows, kind of the big convention is in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. They do a couple times a year as Monster Mania. They have decided to not do that at a hotel in New Jersey this year for very good reasons. So they're going to be doing kind of more of a drive-in version of that. They're doing a partnership with Mahoning Drive-In the weekend of Halloween. So Mahoning's not messing around with the scary this year, guys.
No, that's really impressive.
Wow,
If I were
that's
closer,
incredible.
I would be there, every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like a 6-hour drive for me.
It's
Not
that bad.
impossible.
Right.
But yeah, it's not impossible, but I'm too tired. I'm tired every day. I get wiped out these days.
Like going
I'm-
outside for more than 45 minutes, I'm like exhausted now.
yeah, I'm sure people can relate, but yeah, it's
I'm laying
it's
down
just-
and I'm tired.
yeah.
Right down.
I did want to mention that there are also, and I know I've mentioned some of this before, but there are virtual escape rooms, and so I've had a lot of fun doing that with friends. And if for anyone who's done escape rooms, what's happening is that these escape rooms, up until recently, they couldn't open, and so they had to come up with creative ways, kind of like the film festivals had to come up with creative ways to do a virtual escape room. And so you have obviously they all have their built-in themes. So you have all that that set design and stuff, which is still really good. But they have it all over Zoom, and you got the owner usually with a webcam on his forehead, and he's got in one case we saw a guy with like a iPhone that was like strapped to his arm so he could like control different things. And they'll play a character in some cases, so it'll be like, hey, like I'm stuck in this room, and like what should I do next? And so like you and your 8 friends or 6 friends or whatever would be like, hey, go pick up that or go do that, and you have an hour to get out of the room. So it actually is a lot of fun. And again, I know there are a lot of people who are maybe listening, and you're just at your apartment by yourself, and a virtual escape room is a great way to get your friends together and do something. They have the ones I wanted to recommend, where there was one called Ready Mayor 1, and I think it's
John Mayer.
Yeah, and it's a Rock Avenue escape room. That one's a lot of fun. I've done the Evil Dead escape room, which I probably wouldn't have gone to Seattle previously, but they have the official one there, and I'm looking forward to checking it out when I go to Seattle in person. But that's hourglassescapes.com. And then we did another one. I think we've done about 10, but there's another one called the Escape Game, and then that one's good too. And then there's one, and I can't remember it for the life of me. But if you're really interested, just ping me on, just DM me on Twitter, and I'll let you know. But there's one in the UK, and I think it's in Manchester. These guys did a really great job. The escape room takes like an hour and a half to get through, and so we did one in Croatia, and so you can like just go all over the world where you virtually, you might not be able to travel to these places, but you can experience escape rooms from the comfort of your own home. And so Christy and I have had a lot of fun doing those.
I once got locked in a gas station bathroom for 20 minutes, and I couldn't get out.
We could have helped you.
Is that like in an escape room?
He actually paid $150 for that experience too.
I did.
Yeah, if you had called me, we could have, and just, we did FaceTime or whatever. I could have helped you out.
Yeah, bummer.
But yeah, I mean, so there are, like I said, plenty of options. I think that the thing is that there are, there are a lot of businesses that are trying to do things differently, and people that have had to change their lives, and we're going to have to change our lives a little bit too when it comes to how we're celebrating the Halloween season. But there are, plenty of options, and, some of the things we're going to be doing on, Daily Dead and Corpse Club is we will update again with new events as we know about them. Heather, is posting her usual streaming list. She already started talking about some of the stations that are going to have Halloween programming. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a weird Halloween. Like, we don't know how we're going to handle trick-or-treaters. That's something to think about for the next time we get together to talk about this. But
Molotov cocktails.
I guess spoiler alert, but I was thinking about like having like a tube, like go from like our top floor that like all the way to the bottom, and it would be like a snake, and I can just like drop like candy down the tube so I don't have to actually interact with the kids, because like there's going to be kids that are going to come to the house, and I feel bad not giving them.
I got excited candy. There. I thought you were going to ride an inner tube down the stairs and like chuck candy on each floor. Because I was like, I'm going to New York, man.
Well,
I got to hang out with this
I got to
guy.
see.
Yeah,
I want to party with this guy.
Maybe by the end of the party, but yeah, that's how we came up with it. Because I'm trying to think of any other way, and like, some kids are going to be really like, they will be careful with it. Other people are going to be like, I don't care. Like, I don't believe that COVID's real, and I don't want to deal with it. You want to set it
up like the mail room where it gets sucked up the.
Basically.
Gets sucked up. Next.
Yep, I think that's how I'm going to do it. So I don't know what other people are doing.
Candy. Move on. Next.
We're going back to going back to Hannibal. Have like that, like deposit contraption thing that they need to use to like pass things off. So just you put it in the drawer, shove the drawer out, and the kid grabs it and goes on his way. Yeah,
I had thought about something like that too. Christy had suggested it. And then I just feel like I'm going to be dealing with some stupid kids. And so I'm like, I think I can just like, we can kind of see them. It's almost like water balloon drop where I can like see them. I could just like drop the candy down the tube, and hopefully like it doesn't drop hard enough.
Jonathan says kids are stupid.
Was that the exact quote?
Takes tonight. I'm telling you.
Sorry, not all kids. Some are, and I can imagine some of the people in my undisclosed neighborhood.
After that lovely interaction we just had with Noah, and now you're calling him an idiot.
No.
I get it. There's stupid kids on both sides. Is that what you're saying?
No.
And with that, I am ending this episode of Corpse Club prematurely.
Probably a good idea.
Probably for the best. Before we end and get into the usual thing, I just want to say, thanks to all of our listeners. I hope everybody is doing well during these crazy times. Hopefully we can bring you a little bit of entertainment and some suggestions. And we really, from the bottom of our hearts, we really do wish you the best, and your family, because these are crazy times. It's not easy sometimes even to just get up to do the podcast or get up to work. And I know that, friends of mine and family, they're having a tough time. Everybody's having a tough time. Us on the line included. So, anyways, hang in there, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully we kept you entertained for the last 90 minutes. We want to thank Brian, our engineer, for helping us out each and every single episode. And like I mentioned, we really do want to, thank our listeners, especially those who have signed up for a Corpse Club membership, continue to support us. The reason that we are able to continue doing this is thanks to you. So thank you very much. For anybody who wants to catch up on our backlog of Corpse Club episodes, like I said, all those interviews, Heather interviewed David Arquette, a really great interview. Go to corpseclub.com and you can check out the entire backlog. We're in the 160s at this point, so get a lot of episodes to catch up on if you're a new listener. You can also find out how to sign up to become a Corpse Club member, which will give you member benefits. You get exclusive commentary and episodes, and we have a Corpse Club t-shirt and pin as well. If you sign up, and again, go to corpseclub.com. I will be donating everything that is, I have already that's been sent our way, but anything that's sent this month, we'll donate that as well. And we're sending it out to charities to support people who have had COVID and some other charitable causes. So at this point, everything that's coming in, we're donating back out. And don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. That really helps, every rating and review. So please, if you haven't rated us and reviewed us, we really appreciate it. You can also find us on Google Play, SoundCloud, and all of your favorite podcast providers. And if you want to get in touch, you can reach out anytime. We're at contact@corpseclub.com. We're on Twitter at Daily Dead News. We're at Corpse Club as well. And we're on Instagram and Facebook under Corpse Club. Thanks again for listening. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, and most of all, stay scary.